to love more deeply. So many people are looking for love. They're looking for that soulmate. They're looking for that partner who can walk through life with them, somebody who can pick them up when they're down and celebrate their successes when they have them. And so few people find that. Recently somebody said to me that they don't know very many happy married couples. That made me very sad because I am very happily married to someone I'm dear friends with, but that wasn't always the case. Through my relationship ups and downs, through my years of helping people as a coach and psychotherapist, I have learned a whole lot about how to love, not only how to love myself, but how to love other people more deeply. And today I am sharing with you my top 4 ways to love more deeply for fun, meaningful, and long-lasting relationships. So stick around.
GILD Coaching. More success, less stress.
It's not enough just to find love. You have to know how to feed it and cultivate it in order to keep it and actually enjoy it. You should really be in love with love, but how do you do that when everything else that's going on in the world, in your life, is throwing you off track and you have duties, you've got a mortgage to pay, you've got kids to take care of, you have health issues? How can you be in a state of love and love more deeply all the time? Now, I always like to encourage you to take notes because your learning is more long lasting when you take notes. So right now, either grab your pen or open up the comments section on this video, and I want you to take some notes. And the first thing that I want you to write down is love begins with self-love. You have to first begin loving yourself before you have it to give. It's one of my favorite quotes by Oprah Winfrey. She says, if you don't have it in you, then you don't have it to give. And it's absolutely true. So love starts with you. Love starts in you. So write that down. Love starts in me. That's not one of the 4 things that I'm teaching you today. That's just really a bonus at the front end to really get you going. But you have to understand that. If you don't love yourself, don't expect other people to find things about you that are worthy of loving. Because if they do, you won't believe that it's genuine if you're not recognizing of those things as well. And I see that happen all the time. But I promised you today my top 4 life hacks to teach yourself to love more deeply, to be able to grow a deeper love and have a more meaningful relationship. So number 1, don't get stuck in a rut. Build in different things, especially married couples. Think of a married couple that you know, maybe someone who's not so happy, or a married couple you used to know and now they're divorced. Why do most people split? Because they fell out of love. Well, why? Because they weren't cultivating that. Love is a garden. You have to cultivate it. You have to prune it. You have to make sure that the soil is healthy. You have to continually put things into it. So when you get stuck in a rut, oh, well, Monday we do this, Tuesday we have that, and you get stuck in all of these schedules, then you really put your mind and your soul in a place where it's forced to deal with the mundane. And there's no magic there. So you have to build in a little bit of unexpected things. Now, that doesn't really sound right, schedule spontaneity, but leave yourself some room that will allow you to be spontaneous when you want to be spontaneous. If you're scheduled to the hilt and you know every place that you've got to go, you're not going to have those special little moments where you can just slip a little love in. Here's an example. My husband and I both operate businesses. We travel a lot. We've got kids, but every once in a while, he'll leave me like a little note on a napkin in the kitchen. He makes me coffee when he's not traveling and leaves a latte for me on the kitchen counter, and he'll just write a little note on a napkin. Just that little seed in the soil of the garden helps for the love to grow. I've known that I've had an errand that was going to take me past his office, and so I've written a little note and just left it underneath the windshield wiper on his car. And it doesn't have to be notes. That's just an example of the ways that we can express those things just kind of on the fly. They don't have to be huge gestures. You don't have to go and buy 3 dozen roses or take someone on an extravagant trip, though we have done those things too. But just little things. It's about intention. So write that down as well, or type that into the comments. It's all about intention. It's about the meaning behind it. And here's a really important point, and this is your point number 2. It's really important to know the person's love language, the person who you're in a relationship with. Now there's a set of books called the 5 Love Languages, and I don't even know how many books there are anymore, but the psychologists who wrote this identified 5 languages of love, 5 things that speak love to people, and not everyone has the same love language. So the love languages, just the short version: acts of service. That means I do something for you. I'll cook you dinner, I'll fold your laundry, something like that. Acts of service is one. Quality time is another. It's just time spent together. That's quality time. Another one is words of affirmation. That's one of my top 2. It's also one of my husband's top 2, which is why the little notes to each of us really speaks love. Physical affection is another one. It doesn't have to be straight out intimacy. It can just be, a squeeze on the arm, a hug, a soft, kind look, holding hands, brushing intentionally, kind of in a flirtatious way. It can just be that touch. Children who have the touch love language need a lot of love and hugs and squeezes from their parents, because everyone has a love language. And the 5th one is gifts. That one's pretty easy, but the gifts don't have to be huge. I remember when I was very young and I would go and pick violets outside and other weedy flowers that had weeds with beautiful flowers, and I'd take them into my mother. And did they cost anything? No, but she would always put them in a vase and put them in the kitchen window, even though she was allergic to them. I didn't know that at the time, but those little tiny gifts, just go to your childlike brain and think of little tiny gifts that, my top 2 love languages personally are physical affection and words of affirmation, but gifts is 3rd on mine. And big extravagant gifts don't matter to me. It's the thought that goes behind them. And so would I love getting a new pair of diamond earrings? Maybe, but it doesn't have to be that. Okay. So understand the other person's love language. You don't have to go by the book. There is a test that they have online somewhere if you want to do that. But just knowing them, you can probably just sit down and look at them and say, yeah, it really does mean a lot to me when people spend time with me. And your love languages can shift as you grow. As a child, if you love quality time, maybe later you may appreciate acts of service more. So give yourself a chance to grow and change. Also, make sure that number 3, instead of going along again with that mundane, build in intentional laughter. Look up a cheesy joke. Schedule yourselves to watch a movie or a show or see a comedian or something. Laugh together. Laughter is a really, really high energy action. And so when you're laughing together, you are bonding together. It creates a commonality, and it also increases your vibe. So if you connect that person with a higher vibe, you are naturally going to want to be with that person more, and that person's naturally going to want to be with you more. And this last one is very important, and it can sound kind of technical and unromantic, but you need to schedule time together. And if you have busy lives and children and jobs and travel, you may even need to schedule intimate times together. When my husband and I were newly married, there were 4 kids in the mix because it was a second marriage for both of us. He brought 3, I brought 1. And there really wasn't a whole lot of time for that. And so we scheduled it. We found time that worked where there weren't kids involved, obviously. And we scheduled that with each other. And if that just sounds completely sterile and clinical, tough. It's really important to schedule time, not only to talk about things that are important to you, but times for intimacy. And during those times, you don't have to try to make it into some movie love scene every single time. It really could be like, I love you and I know that this is important to you, and let's do this. We're going to have fun. You can laugh. Make your intimate area, whether, it's your bedroom, your whole apartment, or wherever, that goes on for you, make it your personal playground and really have fun there. And that can bring laughter back into it as well. Don't be afraid to laugh at yourself, and good-natured laughing together, not at the expense of each other, but together. So make sure that you are typing your questions into the comments, and make sure as well that you look at the video description, because I always pack in a ton of extras and freebies and things like that for you. So take a look at that. And before you go, give me a thumbs up, please. Hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you know the next time that I drop a video to help you live a life with more happiness, more love, more fulfillment, more long-lasting, real, meaningful experiences, and lower stress. See you next time.